is only one of 5 internationally accredited academic health science centres in the whole of the UK. The other 4 are all in what we all call the Golden Triangle. 3 are in London, 1 in Cambridge. The only one outside the Golden Triangle is in Manchester. And there's very good reason for that. Because we have in Manchester a unique set of assets, and what MediPark is about is unlocking the potential of putting those assets together. We have an amazing airport you've heard all about, and Airport City is going to take it to new levels, and it's 225 destinations which they're connected to. We know that because we've done our research too, and that's more destinations than Heathrow. And that's just a touch important when you're trying to persuade inward investment to come to you. And that inward investment is globally footloose and fancy-free biotechnology, pharmaceutical, and medical device companies. They want to know, where are you connected to? Well, right next door to us, we are connected to one of the fastest growing and best connected airports in Europe. That's a tremendous asset. But we have something else. Something I think we perhaps don't realize. We don't just do graphene down the Oxford Road corridor. For over 100 years, we've been developing a whole range of other things besides. We have a set of assets to which the MediPark will be a gateway right next door to the airport. And that set of assets look a little bit like this. There is a huge cluster of biotechnology, health-related, medical device, pharmaceutical activity already going on, not just across the Northwest, but more specifically in Manchester. Just before Christmas, you may have been aware that the Prime Minister announced the government's new life sciences strategy and policy. And in that policy, they identified the Northwest of England of having a cluster of activity in the life sciences sector, which is of international significance. GlaxoSmithKline has described what we have as being in the European Super League. And 75%, in fact, of all of that activity is located in Manchester, in Greater Manchester. That is the other phenomenal asset base which, put alongside the airport, we intend to unlock with the MediPark. We're not talking about building another science park. We have a very, very good science park in the Oxford Road corridor already. It does a fantastic job. What we're talking about is creating a much bigger international development, scale development, which will take all the fantastic stuff that's going on in the science park and elsewhere in this phenomenal cluster or agglomeration, I think the economists call it, and really growing it. And already we're getting interest being expressed from literally around the world and from some of the biggest pharmaceutical and particularly medical device manufacturers. And the reason is this. We are a gateway, if you like, a major teaching and research hospital, which is a gateway to this fantastic cluster of existing activity. It's only the second cluster in this country, the other one being that golden triangle of London and Cambridge. But we are much better connected. We are much more cohesive, much more joined up, if you like. So right next door to one another, you've got this fantastic site clustered around an existing teaching and research hospital, a hospital, incidentally, which already puts more people through clinical trials than any other hospital in this country bar one, and that one is Imperial in London. Again, I think these are facts probably that people don't recognize. So we have this fantastic site right next door to the airport, and of course, fantastically connected into the motorway system, north, south, east, and west. And that connects us to a population, a huge and diverse population of 11 million people within 1 hour's drive of this site. I think these stats are also 22 million within 2 hours' drive. Now, if you're in the life sciences, clinical pharmacology business, you need access to patients. You need access to people and diverse populations. We have that too. And of course, access to London. Everybody always needs access to London. We all know we've got access to London in under 2 hours, once every 20 minutes. In addition to that, we have, as the Airport City film showed, we have the Metrolink already coming in. Now that's under construction right now. That's not a wish list. That's not something we'd like to do. It's happening even as we speak. And of course, what it's bringing with it is high-speed access to high-speed broadband. And we are also encompassed in the enterprise zone. So you have these two big ideas. One which is already very well worked up. One which is beginning to gather real momentum in the marketplace. Airport City and the Medipark together are the two driving forces of the enterprise zone. We recognized that also we needed to, we have also, of course, on our doorstep, the other thing that if you're going to try and attract large-scale inward investment, which is what we're setting our cap at, you also have to have superb housing, you have to have superb cultural facilities, you have to have superb education. The film that you've just seen has already made that very clear, but it's right on our doorstep. It's not kind of 10, 15 miles away, it is literally next door. Some of the most valuable properties in the north of England. And of course, all the cultural activity that we all know so well. At least if you come from Manchester, you certainly know it. And I suspect even if you don't, you probably know about it as well. But we did recognize that if we were going to create something which was of international significance, a real competitor to some of the very big developments elsewhere in the world, like Biopolis in Singapore, like the Boston cluster in the States, then we needed more than the amount of land that was available around the hospital. We in the hospital own roughly about 35 acres of developable land. That wasn't big enough. And that's why we've joined forces not only with the airport, with whom we've been working very closely now for the last 2 years in starting to research this proposition, but we've also joined forces with Royal London Asset Management, who have 90 acres right next door to us, and Blue Mantle, who have access ultimately to approximately about 75 acres, because that together gives us access to about 200 acres of land, superbly connected, this gateway into this fantastic cluster of existing activity, all in an environment which presupposes access to planning, which also, because of the, particularly the lion's share of it being in the enterprise zone, also brings with it access to preferential business rates. And of course, the whole thing being part of the enterprise zone and joining Airport City also means we go absolutely to the head of the UKTI hit list and have full government support. So this is what we want to unlock. This is a global market which is conservatively now estimated to be worth in excess of £1,000 billion per annum. That is a heck of a market to be pitching for, and we have all the ingredients to be able to unlock it. And people will say to me, but hey, hang on, yeah, surely the Chinese and the Indians and all the emerging economies are tilting their hat at this as well. Well, yes, it's certainly true. You know, they've got cheap land, they've got cheap labor, they've got large patient populations as well. But what they haven't got is this unique asset that we have in Greater Manchester, this authoritative cluster. It's more than a cluster. This agglomeration of existing biotechnology, life science activity, which is able to accredit new drugs, new devices, new methods of treatment into populations. That is what they haven't got. When they need it, they have to come to us. We have that authority, and it's based on the work that has grown up organically over the past 100 years in the Oxford Road corridor and beyond. And that is what we are seeking to exploit before it's too late, if we're really honest, because there will come a time when the Chinese and the Indians and everybody else do have that kind of accreditation, do have that kind of authority. The moment they don't, we do, and we should be exploiting it better. Because this is a market which is not only currently worth about £1,000 billion, it is estimated to be growing at anywhere between 10 and most people say 12% per annum. Why? Because in every developed country in the world, they have the issue that we have, an aging population. And that means whether they like it or not, they have to spend more and more of their GDP on health products and health devices and health activity. It is a huge and growing market, and it ain't going to stop. So that's the prize. That's what we're tilting at. Next steps, well, we've just started the master planning, high-level master planning. Urban Strategies, who've been working on the airport plan and the enterprise zone planning, have already started to factor the Medipark into this equation. BDP have already started working with us and will continue to work with us to develop the high-level master planning. We have spent the last 2.5 years talking to investors, talking to interested parties, and it is not an exaggeration to say that we have people who have been associated, very closely associated with the development of Biopolis in Singapore and other major biotechnology-based activities elsewhere in the world, literally flying in to see us as soon as they've heard about it. We already have investors knocking on the door. And we are talking, well, we're doing more than talking. We are now negotiating at length and in detail for a number of potential anchor tenancies with global medical device companies. So we are well on the way to moving towards procurement. We are a public business, so we've probably got to go down European procurement routes, like it or not. So we are moving very rapidly towards that. In fact, we within the next 4 to 8 weeks, we expect to be able to move in that direction. We are looking at a UK launch in June of this year. Initial site preparation for the first phases of the Medipark, probably by the end of this year. We're certainly on target for that because we are on target also for confirmation of early anchor tenants. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the proposition. A website has just been launched. It's very minimal at the moment. Don't expect whizzy pictures and fly-throughs because they ain't there yet. We haven't done them. It's very minimal at the moment, but it's up and running. It's a start, and it will be populated very rapidly now as we go forward. But the Medipark, we believe, sitting right next door to Airport City, is a fantastic opportunity for Greater Manchester and the northwest of England to create something which simply does not exist anywhere else in the UK. And having done a lot of research, it is our belief, and we will stand up to scrutiny by anybody, that there is no other site in the UK that can rival this, because nobody else has this combination of a world-class airport plus this fantastic agglomeration of existing very, very high level and in-depth research, development, and manufacture. That's the proposition that we're selling. You put the two together and you enable all the fantastic stuff that goes on down the corridor to expand and to grow, and you bring in inward investment from across the world. We hope that you'll come and join us in this adventure. Thank you.
Thanks, Felicity. I'm absolutely sure you also recognise the importance of Airport City and Medipark, and it's such an attractive proposition when you actually put the two of them side by side. But just to sum up, key messages: Airport City, an 800 million development programme over the next 12 to 15 years. And then obviously we've got Medipark as a further investment opportunity. We're looking to create well in excess of 20,000 jobs by the time we run through the programme, and they will be high value jobs, obviously in Medipark and high-tech manufacturing. The next stage for us is to put the infrastructure on the ground in Airport City, and we're committed to spending 27 million over the course of the next 12 to 18 months to actually take this proposition to the next stage. So again, we've looked at the major airport cities in the world, Barcelona and Amsterdam, and there is no reason why Manchester can't compete with those major airport cities, and there's no reason why this proposition, coupled with Felicity's Medipark proposition, isn't probably the most attractive opportunity in the UK over the course of the next 10 years. So, thank you very much.